Okay, friends, so today we're going to talk about organizational patterns in writing, and the four that we are going to address are chronological, comparison, cause and effect, and problem solution. Now, of course, there are more patterns than just these four, but today those are the four that I want to discuss. And the reason why I think organizational patterns in writing are important is because the more you notice them as a reader, the more you will notice them as a writer, and the higher comprehension and the relationship between your ideas as a writer will be. So the first one we're going to talk about is the chronological order, and I think that this one is actually a pretty intuitive one to understand because this is already in order for us. We know that if something happened earlier, we'll talk about it earlier, or maybe we can work backwards through time. We can say, more recently, and then move backwards throughout history. And I think that this one is really interesting to use because it shows that progression of change over time. So when do we actually use chronological order? Well, chronological order is the best to use if you're dealing with time-sensitive material. And you want to think about it in terms of keywords. You can use past, present, future, before, during, after, morning, afternoon, evening, as you saw in the previous slide. And then each sentence or paragraph will take place in a new time frame, and that will just sort of move very logically for your reader, or if you are the reader, it will make more sense to you if you notice that progression. So the next one we're going to talk about is compare and contrast. So you want to look at how two things are different from each other, how two things are the same, and I think that this one is really intuitive as well, especially for those of you who experienced Venn diagrams earlier in your school. This one should make a lot of sense. You're looking at how things are the same, how things are different, and why that's important. So the next one I want to talk about is cause and effect. And for cause and effect, I have this video of a Rube Goldberg machine. And as you know, this is actually available for you. So if you'd like to watch that video after this presentation, please do so. I think it's really funny and it's just interesting. Well, first of all, how many takes it took them to make this actual video, but how everything causes an action and reaction. And I think it's interesting. It kind of helps it make sense for you as a reader or writer because it shows that relationship. And the keywords that you want to look for this one are results in, because of, those kinds of words that show a relationship that one thing caused another thing. So, for example, alligators almost became extinct because people killed too many of them. So people killed too many of them, alligators almost became extinct. That's the relationship. And this is really good for anything like, for instance, preventative care. You should brush your teeth so you don't get cavities. Or to show why somebody did a certain action. This one's very simplistic. Since we ran out of milk, we went to the grocery store. So you really want to use this one specifically when you want to show that relationship. So the next one that I want to talk about is problem and solution. And this one is my favorite one because I think this one is the most directly related to writing, because all writing is good problem solving. If you are writing well, then you are writing to solve a problem. And I think that this is good for me, at least, because as a reader, as a writer, I really like to know what the full scope of the problem is before anybody goes into solutions. That way I feel like I have as much information as possible and I can understand exactly how that solution is the best answer to the problem. So this one, also very easy to identify. They start out telling you exactly what's wrong and then they tell you how they're going to fix it. So all of these different kinds of organizational patterns, like I said, normally they're mixed together. And I think that's true because they can work well together. So you have compare and contrast, cause and effect, problem solution, and of course chronological, which makes sense with all of these. And all of these make sense with each other in terms of how you're writing something and in terms of how you're reading something. So what I would like you to do now is choose two of them and write a paragraph using that organizational pattern and outline which parts of your paragraph are actually displaying that organizational pattern. And then I'm going to have you guys switch paragraphs, and you're each going to read them and try to identify what the other writer did. So go ahead and do that. If you have any questions, you know I'm always available, and I will see you in class. All right?